Here's an example for you to follow. Have compassion. Have the same type of compassion that Jesus had. Jesus is looking at this great crowd of 5,000 people, and he's going to have compassion. And this is right after he received news that John the Baptist had been beheaded. Remember, we are in a time of flashback. Uh, Matthew is reminding us of what happened to John the Baptist, and this story follows what happened after Jesus heard about John the Baptist being beheaded. Now, when Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat to a desolate place by himself. But when the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from the towns. So Jesus is trying to get away, but he can't. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd. What did he do? He had compassion on them and healed their sick. You would think if he's grieving and being sad that John the Baptist had been beheaded, that he would just be off to himself. But no, he sees the crowd and he has compassion on them, and then he heals them. And then when it was evening, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a desolate place. This is not going to be good if we have all these crowds here. The day is almost over." And they suggested Jesus to send the crowds away. So Jesus is showing compassion on them. The disciples are saying they're kind of a problem we need to get rid of. So they said, "Jesus, we need to tell them to go into villages and buy food for themselves." But Jesus said, "They need not go away. You give them something to eat." They said, "We only have 5 loaves here and 2 fish." So you already see Jesus's compassion coming out. He's going to be planning to do a miracle. He's saying they don't need to go away. Let's give them something to eat. In fact, he told the disciples, "You give them something to eat." And he said to them, "Bring them here." That is the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and said a blessing. Then he broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds, and they all ate and were satisfied. And they took up 12 baskets full of the broken pieces left over. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. You see the great compassion of Jesus. He is saying, let's heal, or let's feed these 5,000 people. He had compassion on them, and he did indeed heal their sick. So Jesus's example for us is that he wants to help the people around us. We have to ask ourselves, in particular, we ask ourselves as Central Baptist Church, what ministries and what ways can we have compassion on the crowds? Remember, in the Gospel of Matthew, there's a great distinction between the crowds and the disciples. The crowds that are benefiting from Jesus's teaching, benefiting from his miracles, and then the disciples that are actually true followers of Jesus. And notice Jesus is having here compassion on the crowds, and he ends up miraculously feeding the 5,000. Could it be that God would want to use us to miraculously provide for some of the needs in our community? We might be thinking we don't have the resources, we don't have the manpower, we don't have the volunteers, we can't do those type of things, we can't do something great for our community. But I wonder, perhaps we could, as we follow the example of Jesus, as we have compassion on him. I wonder what new ministries is God wanting to begin in Central Baptist Church so that we can have compassion on the crowds around us, and hopefully see those crowds and come to know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. I hope that has been a blessing to you, and I'll see you in the next video.